Hello, and welcome to the Joel Wolfe Podcast. Join Joel Wolfe as she recounts her adventures in parenting, reveals her hard-won secrets to a strong marriage, and confides how we can all grow closer to God. You'll cheer at her victories, laugh at her calamities, and most of all, come away with the tools to tame the chaos in your own home with the courage to live life to its fullest, just the way God intended. Don't miss a single episode because life's better here.
Communication. God's given us the art and the ability to communicate, to bring together. And we as married people cannot ever tolerate this. We have to always work to come together.
Communication is really, in a lot of ways, letting her get inside of my mind through her words and through her expressions, and me getting inside of her mind so that the two of us become one in agreement. Communicate comes from communion. And communion comes from common union. We have to have in marriage common union. And common union only comes about and is fulfilled or maximized as we communicate. As I express to her, she expresses to me, and we listen to one another and come together on this common ground, even if the common ground calls us to move away from where we were or where we thought was right to be. So to me, it was just a wood shop with carpet. To her, it was now her living room. It was her nest. It was her heart. And I was running a skill saw across artery number 3. So communication is really, and this is part of the mystery of the church even. This is part of the mystery of the church, is that the Bible calls us one with Christ. And yet, we really don't know the practicum or the power or the energy or the life of our union or our oneness with Christ unless we read His Word. It really only comes by hearing His Word. We have to get His Word within us. His Word washes us. His Word changes our mind. It reframes our image. It gives our future. It gives us an understanding of who He is. His Word is what changes our whole life. We are transformed by the renewing of our mind according to His Word. John 15:7 says, if we abide in Him, and His words abide in us, then we can ask what we will. And this is a mystery that's a parallel of marriage. I need to abide in her, but also I need her words to abide in me. She needs to abide in me, but she needs my words to abide in her. There has to be this exchange of words for there to be communication to be communion or common union, and therefore common ground. The power now to work as one, to live as one, to accomplish as one, to get more done as one, to get the things that God has called us to do as the one. Otherwise, we're going to continue to work and walk as two separate beings, and the end of that will be misery, hardship,
and difficulty.
Separation, difficulty, maybe divorce.
That's right, because let me tell you some more of that story. When we were separated and I was angry at him and he was over there and I was over here and we had differing opinions and we had different thoughts. We were fighting. And we had come down to it. It had gone away now from sawing in the living room to now, you need to do what I want you to do. Now, see, I don't want you to do that. You need to obey me. And then he rises up and we get this thing going on where it's getting
Well, I was still kind of in the macho mode. Back in those days, I was still very much domineering, authoritarian, macho, mean, caustic. I thought I was the big man on campus.
Well, and I thought I was pretty cool too. So we had this... And our conversation... Well, she did,
but I would have never said that. Thank you, honey.
Our conversation came to a point, and I'm going to be very honest with you. It came to a point where, in my mind, I started thinking some thoughts. I started thinking, maybe we made a mistake. And that is the scariest place to be. When we are this far away from each other, when we are this distant, We have to come to a conclusion of what are we going to do with this. And honestly, at one point, I turned to him and I said, we married the wrong person. You should have married Diane because you dated Diane and you always told me how nice and sweet and kind Diane is. And Diane would probably never tell you that you can't saw in the living room. So maybe you should have married somebody else.
Have I ever brought her name up again?
Nope, not once.
Thank you, Jesus. Fix that one right there. You're low rent.
But the problem is, I made a very scary thought change in my head. I was on the precipice. I was on the very edge over here, thinking we could never be far apart. And I looked at us and I thought, we've made a mistake. And if we ever come to that conclusion where we say we've made a mistake, then we will start constructing our exit.
It's true, because now all at once what we're doing is we're taking our experience, which is separation, which is hurt and pain. We're taking our experience and we're superimposing our experience on top of this covenant, and we're saying, oh, we're not one, we're two. It's obvious that we're two, and we're not the right two. And so now all at once, instead of taking the prophetic declaration that God has said over a married couple that we are one, and making our experience submit to that prophetic declaration, we're taking our animosity and our strife and our frustration and our division and our poor communication and our lack and unwillingness to understand, and we're going to put that over the top of this thing, and that's going to bring division. And now we're saying we're not one, we're two. When God has declared, no, you are one, and all you need to do is communicate rightly to bring back the common union.
Mm-hmm. It's very good. It's very, very powerful. So do you see how communication is so, so vital? And it kind of comes back to one of our first things, is you really have to keep turning your heart back to your covenant. But now, we're going to take a little bit of time here now and give you some real practices on communication. So I want to make sure you all have a piece of paper, pencil out. You know me. I like you to be a little student out there and learn and write some things down, kind of make some comments. So our habit today, in the big picture, is to commit towards better communication. Now, in general, women, usually pretty much about 80% of the population, women are better communicators than men. Okay, it's not always.
Just meaning they talk more.
Probably.
Okay,
and
good.
We're more in touch, I don't know. They say that women...
More emotionally in touch, that's true.
Women speak 250 words per minute, whereas men usually average about 100 to 125. So I have the complete ability to talk circles around him. And I do. And by the end of the day...
I can talk that fast if I want to, but then I need motor oil or something to lubricate my jaws. And so I
know. It's terrible.
I choose to be slower.
The other thing that's kind of fun to know between the difference between guys and girls is that a baby girl, within the very first couple of hours, they've done little research and watched baby girls and baby boys and kind of what goes on in those first couple of hours. And they found that the muscle or muscle group on a baby girl that works the most during those first couple hours is, guess what? Her mouth. She's just
her working. Lips.
She's just trying so hard to get a word out. She's just like, I want to talk so bad, but it's not connected yet. That little girl, she's just like this all the time. Now, boys, baby boys, they're moving this. They're wanting to get out there and do something.
They're making motor noises.
Like, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, he's like, hurry, honey. Okay. So a couple of things. As we're going through this, we're going to kind of take it from the guy's perspective, because a lot of times guys have more of a challenge in this than girls. But you know what, women, we can all learn too, because we make boo-boos too, right? Okay, so the first habit, the first very just practical habit is that as far as happy couples are concerned, they've done research, happy couples, as far as communication is concerned, have a very good ability to listen, and people who are in a happy couple relationship feel heard. Heard, H-E-A-R-D, not hurt, but heard. So they have a communication style that goes on between them that they feel like the other person has listened to them. Have you ever been in a conversation where you don't think you were heard? You were talking. Their ears were right here, but nothing went in. Okay, so this is the big difference between a happy couple and an unhappy couple. So my question to you is what do you need to do for your spouse to feel heard? What can you do? What are some simple things you can do? Well, you can look at them when they're talking. That's a possibility.
Uh-huh.
You can say, I understand.
That's good. Validate.
I can try to imagine your situation.
Uh-huh. You don't have to agree initially, do you?
You do not have to agree. In fact,
but you can affirm
in our communication,
agreeing.
I don't agree with him. And the first thing I want to do is get in there and just tell him, I just don't agree.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't work because he won't feel heard.
How have you subdued that? That's good.
You got to bite that thing in there, and you got to listen, and you got to make sure that they feel heard. Now, you do not want at this point, you're not supposed to fix them.
Uh-huh.
You're not supposed to defend yourself.
Uh-huh.
You're not supposed to do any of those things. You're just supposed to listen and be heard. Half the time, if I'm just heard, if I know that he's heard me, I'm fine, I'm done. I'm fixed. Girls, what do you say? So work on this communication thing and this listening thing. So what?
Well, guys want to solve stuff. We want to cut to the chase. We don't give me the whole story. Quit beating around the bush. Yeah, and we don't want to hear the whole dealio. We don't want to hear the whole movie. When we ask you to tell us about a movie, we mean, how did it end? We don't mean give us every single
She said, and she was
scene.
Wearing this really cute outfit.
No. So it's hard for us because, and here's the problem, I'm going to read you a proverb, but it's hard for us because we have a tendency to jump to the end before you ever get to the end.
And you assume you know the end.
We assume we know the end. And so Proverbs 18:13 says, he who answers before listening, that is his folly and shame. So it's actually good. It's actually powerful to listen all the way through, and it's powerful to be patient. This is part of common union. This is part of communication. She has a need to express something fully. She has a need for you to listen completely. And that means putting things down. And now that we're in the texting generation, how many of you are texting while your spouse or friend is talking to you? Hello, somebody. You even need, you all lied right there. You even need to put that down and give full attention.
Now, it goes both ways because, you know what, guys do have things that they need to express to us, and we have to listen too. We think we got it all down, and you know sometimes we need to be even more patient to help them kind of find in their heart, connecting their heart and their head and their mouth and all that kind of thing to get it out to me. I have to really present a really safe environment for him to do that. I can't be jumping all, I can do that, and he'll go, and walk away unheard.
Men have feelings
and
too.
not happy. They do.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
They're down there deep, but they're
good. There. Okay, number 2. Happy couples in communication are very good at bringing complaints. Now, you might say, okay, complaining at my house is against the law. Children may not complain. And all children, I'm all on board with that. But as far as with a married couple, you have to have some kind of mechanism to bring a complaint. Now, I had a valid complaint that day when he was running his skill saw in my heart. Things had to change. Something had to change or I was going to implode. So I had a problem there. Anybody ever had a problem with your spouse? Something you needed changed? Come on, raise your hand.
I think in kind of
Carl's like this.
I think in our little Christian world sometimes we think that happy marriages or the happiest marriages don't have this problem. They don't have complaint, they don't have conflict, they don't have this kind of thing going on. And I think that's a misnomer as well. I think that also is something that's totally off base. And statistically, proof is that happy marriages have an avenue for complaint.
That's right.
And that there is contention, that there is, and I hate to call it strife even, but there is a place where you can vent something to me, and I need to receive that. And the marriage is going to be healthier because of complaints, not less healthy.
Okay, but here's the ground rules. A complaint is something that sticks to the object of the issue that it is. Okay, so like in our situation, the complaint is, honey, I really don't like it when you saw in my heart.
Yeah.
And I don't like that, and I need you to stop sawing.
I can feel the blood pumping
in my heart, in my living room. It has to stop. That is a complaint. That's a valid complaint, and that's brought very well. Now, and that's how happy couples communicate. Now, it starts breaking down when, in our communication and in our talk, I start bringing in criticism with the complaint. The difference between a criticism and a complaint is that now I'm going to start criticizing him.
And believe it or not, this is also the difference between a happy marriage, statistically, and an unhappy marriage. This is one of the keys in communication. You might think, well, I communicate. I tell her, this is good.
I tell her everything she does wrong.
Man, thank the Lord. You mean you can complain in your marriage? Well, then, and you're thinking, I meet this one. Well, the problem is that unhappy marriages have with it criticism and contempt and malice and these other. And help us define criticism.
Now, a complaint goes to criticism when I move from the problem, you're sawing in my living room, to you are dumb. You made a dumb decision.
You
what
idiot.
are
we
you
just put
thinking?
carpet in here yesterday.
Okay, see the difference? It's gone from the issue now to you, and I'm criticizing you personally, when the issue is the saw and the sawdust. But see how it becomes now unhappy, unhealthy, because now I'm criticizing.
Now, the moment she gets a little bit fiery, and we would say that the complaint now is devolving. It's devolving from a nice plane of what could be biblically sound into anger or frustration or more of a flesh-based, carnal-based. When that happens, my reaction is, how dare you call me dumb? You stupid...
Don't say it.
What was I going to say?
I don't know. Don't say it, though. So going down to criticism, the next level down is contempt. Where you're at.
Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Joel Wolfe Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the message. Don't forget to subscribe to receive more great content regularly, and visit us online at joelwolfe.me, as well as on Facebook at facebook.com/author Joel Wolfe. Be sure to check out Joel's latest book, Courage in Chaos, which Dr. Kevin Lehman says inspires both the heart and the head in equal measure. It's available for purchase at her website. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, have a great day.